session, let us discuss about the mathematical intuition in back propagation. So here I am going to walk you through vector calculus. It sounds fancy, but essentially it is very simple. What we want to do is we want to first differentiate a valued function, uh, vector valued function which takes in a vector and gives out a scalar with a vector that it takes in. So more formally, let x be a n-dimensional real valued vector. So let x belongs to r power, okay, 1 minute. So let x belongs to r power n, a column vector, and let f colon r power n tends to r. So it takes in a vector of n dimensions and it gives out a vector of one dimension, which is a scalar. Now the derivative of this function with respect to x is a row vector, which is dou f by dou x, which is also equal to dou f by dou x1, dou f by dou x2 up to dou f by dou xn. So what I'm doing here, I'm just simply differentiating the function with respect to each component of the input. Our input is an n-dimensional vector, so it has n components. So our function has a single output dimension, so it is a scalar valued function. And what we are doing here is we are saying that how will the function change if I change my first component of the input, which is encoded by the first component of a gradient vector. The second component encodes how will the function change if I change the second component of the input vector, and so on. So how if I wiggle the first component of the input vector to this function, how will the output change? If I wiggle the second component of the input vector to this function, how will be the output function change? So this change of output with respect to the input vector. So this change of output scalar with respect to the input vector is called the gradient vector. It is a row vector. And what is it? So dou f by dou x sometimes denoted by gradient. So gradient of f is the partial derivative of the function f with respect to the first component input. The partial derivative of the function f with respect to the second component of the input, and so on. Note all these quantities are scalar. However, what is the size of gradient vector? The size of the gradient vector is same as the size of your input vector, which is n, right? So it has an n-dimensional vector. And another thing you have to note here is that we will always have our gradient vector as a vector because our normal vectors are column vectors. So the convention that we follow is the gradient vector is a row vector. So this was pretty simple. And now let us take this one step further. Let's now talk about the derivative of a vector valued function with respect to the input vector. So here we had a scalar valued function, meaning it takes in a vector but gives out a scalar. Here we have a vector valued function and it takes in a vector and gives out. So more formally, let x be an n-dimensional real valued vector and let f be a function which maps n-dimensional vector to a m-dimensional vector. So the input is an n-dimensional vector. And now the derivative of this function with respect to the input x is an m cross n matrix. And this m cross n matrix is called as Jacobian matrix of f. And before we look into the arrangement of the partial derivatives in the matrix, what does this matrix look like? Well, the first component of your first row of your matrix always have the first component of your output vectors. So you know how an input vector of dimension n and have an output vector of dimension m and one column, right? So let me write this. So for the first row of your Jacobian matrix, we will always look at only the first component of your output vector, and we will find the partial derivative of this component with all the components of your input vectors. So that is why we have the substate F1, which corresponds to the output. But as we go along the columns, we see that the denominator index is changing. So it becomes dou f of x1 by dou x1, dou f of x2 by dou x2. And here you can see the dou f of xm divided by dou xn. So these are the partial derivatives of the first component of the output with respect to all the component input vector. So what is the meaning of this? So we will look at the component of the Jacobian matrix. So this actually tells us how will the first component of my output vector change with respect if I wiggle the nth component of my input vector, right? So it again encodes the rate of change of some component of the output with respect to some component of the input. So every element in this Jacobian matrix encodes the rate of change of some component of the output vector with respect to some component of the input vector. Similarly, when we go down in terms of rows, we change the components. So we can then come to the next components of the output vector. For example, for the last row, we only look at the last component of the output vector, but then we cycle over all component of the input vector. So any element of the last row of the Jacobian matrix will essentially show the rate of change of the last component of the output vector with respect to all elements of the input vector. So one last thing to notice is that the gradient is essentially a special case of the Jacobian. So the gradient is essentially just the first row of your Jacobian. If you just know the Jacobian and now you say, okay, your m is equal to 1, meaning your output is now of size m equal to 1, right? So you do not have any more rows. Your output component is just 1. And so the gradient is a special case of the Jacobian. Now, armed with this knowledge, we can easily learn how to optimize neural networks. So what we will look at is how do we do back propagation, and for back propagation, we will be using the chain rule, right? So let us look at the 5-layer neural network where the input is X, where the output is O. And now let us try to understand this. What are the quantities we want? So let me write that first. So dou L by dou W1, dou L by dou W3, dou L by dou W5, right? So what I'm trying to do over here, I want to find out the derivative of the loss with respect to all the parameters in the neural network. So because we want to find an update rule, we want to update the weights. So we started off with these random weights and now we want to update the weights so that we can minimize our loss, so that we can maximize our happiness. So here the loss function, we try to minimize it, right? So in our toy network, we have 3 layers with the trainable parameters, which are layer 1, layer 3, and layer 5. And we want to find out the gradients of the loss with respect to these parameters. Why is it a gradient? Because loss is a scalar quantity. It takes in 2 vectors, but the output is a scalar. So we define a gradient. Our weights are one-dimensional vector of trainable parameters. So let's say we are doing a convolutional network and we can always flatten our weight matrices. So we will always consider our weights to be one-dimensional. Even if they are not one-dimensional, you can always represent it as one-dimensional and then calculate the gradient of the loss with respect to these parameters and thus get a row vector. So all these are row vectors, and what will be the size of these vectors now? So the size of these vectors will be the size of W5, or the size of the denominator, the size of the weight, the size of parameters. So this is what we are interested in computing. So somehow we want to get to these dou L by dou W5, dou L by dou W3, and dou L by dou W1, right? Then we can use these to update our weights. So let's start with the chain rule now. So the first step is to compute the derivative of the loss with respect to the output. So we have our loss, right? So this is what we have to compute. So everything here is known, and all we have to do here is to compute the derivative of the loss with respect to the output. So this is the simplest part. Let's take an example. Suppose our loss was the mean square error, right? So mean square error. So let me write that L is equal to half, right? So if I find dou L by dou O, what this will be? Yes, it's going to be simply O minus Y. Yes. So and it also will be a row vector. Clear? So suppose your O was 5-dimensional and Y was 5-dimensional. Then you get a row vector of size 1 cross 5, right? So this is the gradient of the loss with respect to the output. This is what we got here, right? Now what we do as the next step? What is the next step now? We got the gradient of the loss with respect to the output. Now let's suppose that the output was m dimensional, which we were calling it as 5. So then the size of your gradient will be 1 cross m or 1 cross 5, which is a row vector. And we have this vector. So we have dou L by dou O. We can compute it. If we have L, if we know what the loss function is, and then we can, it is pretty simple, right? Now, what is the next step? Next, we want to compute also dou O by dou W5, right? So why are we doing this? Dou O by dou W5, right? So why are we doing this? So that is also really important to calculate, right? We know the function which computes O, which takes in A4, right? And W5. Hope that is clear to you, right? So let us find it now. So let us understand that it is very simple, but what this is doing actually, right? So here the numerator and the denominator both are vectors, so we can get a Jacobian. And say we have already one thing we should always remember, like all the functions here are differentiable. So all are k's, g's, and j all are differentiable with respect to A4 and W5, right? A4 is the input and W5 is the weight, right? And some people are also calling it a differential programming instead of neural networks because we are simply using differentiable function, right? So let me write here as O is equal to K A4 comma W5, right? So some differentiable function with respect to A4 and W5. So some people call it as differentiable programming so that you can keep it in your mind. And here dou O by dou W5 is a Jacobian, right? So that's what I mentioned. Now, since we have a vector valued function which takes in like two vectors and gives out a vector. So this is the output vector. Now let me erase this and let me write for dou O by dou W5, and I'm writing KL over here, and this is equal to dou of K A4 comma W5, right? And this is K divided by dou of. See, when you look at this looks very complicated, but this is actually very simple, right? And here, just if you look at this, like what we have calculated, right? Just you look at this, KL is one of the element of our Jacobian matrix, right? So let's say we got a Jacobian matrix by doing the partial derivatives of O with respect to W, and we got this matrix. And now let us look at the KL element meaning. Kth row and Lth column. So the element K, right? L of the Jacobian indicates how much the kth component of the output changes when we change the Lth component of the weight vector, meaning how much will the kth component of the output vector wiggle if we change the Lth component of the weight vector. So we want to find the rate of change of the output of the kth component of the output with respect to the Lth component of the weight vector. So we have now successfully computed the Jacobian. So dou L by dou O, which is a gradient of size 1 cross M. We have also computed the Jacobian matrix dou O by dou W5, which is a matrix of size M dimension of W5. Right, so let me write that dou L by dou O, right? So this is the element of R power m into dimension of W5, right? So what is this dou L by, uh, so let me rewrite this, dou L by dou W5 is nothing but dou L by dou O. So just I'm using the chain rule, okay? So into dou O by dou W5, right? So we know both now. Now, once we have these two quantities, we can simply apply the chain rule and compute one of the quantities that we were interested in for this particular network. So we have already got one, because when we have these two entities, the gradient and Jacobian, and we simply apply the chain rule, we can say that dou L by dou O is equal to dou O by dou W5, sorry, dou L by dou O into dou O by dou W5 is equal to dou L by dou W5, right? So this is very clear now. So by applying chain rule, we are able to get the first quantity of interest. So we already have this now. Now let's see how to do it for the previous layer, right? So now we have to check it for the previous layer. For this W3 and W1 also we have to do it, right? So that's what we have to do now. So let's compute the other quantities. Okay, so already we have got dou L by dou W5, which is nothing but dou L by dou O into dou O by dou W5. So that part is being done, which simply means how should my loss change when I change my weight. So here I have used a W5. So we want to take a gradient step to update our weights, right? So this is what we use to update the parameters of our layer 5, which is W5. At the same time, we also calculate another quantity, which is dou O by dou A4, right? Which is the Jacobian of the output vector with respect to the input vector. Note that output is a vector, okay? So here, what is O here? O is A4 comma W5, right? So dou O by dou A4 is the Jacobian, right? So the input is a vector. We have the differential function of k. Note that we are differentiating the output with respect to A4. We treat W5 as constant. So when we do partial differentiation, we have to consider the quantity of interest to be changing and everything else is constant. So we calculate dou O by dou A4, and dou O by dou A4 is a Jacobian because O is a vector and A4 is a vector. O is of size m and A4 is also of size dimensional A4. So Jacobian will have m rows and A4 dimensions. So now we calculate this quantity, which is a Jacobian, and kept it aside, right? So let me find out that dou O by dou A4 KL, which is equal to dou K. So it is a function of A4 comma W5, right? So K divided by dou of A4 KL. So now what is each element of the Jacobian telling us? It tells us, for example, the K, L element, kth row and Lth column. Element of our Jacobian, dou O by dou A4 is telling us how will the kth component of the output wiggle if we wiggle the Lth component of our input, right? So this is clear now, I guess. So when we wiggle the element, Lth element of the input vector or the output of the previous layer. Now we also calculate of the derivative of loss with respect to the output, that is a gradient vector, right? So dou L by dou O. So this is the element of, hope you remember this, right? So what is this dou O by dou A4? What we got here, this is the element of R. So we multiply this gradient vector with the Jacobian and this gives us a gradient vector. Why? Because of the dimensions of dou L by dou O is m, 1 cross m, because L is a scalar, the dimensions of O is equal to m. So we will have a row vector of size 1 cross m, and this is our gradient dou L by dou O, the derivative of the loss with respect to the output. So we have our Jacobian dou O by dou A4, which we calculated previously. So when we multiply these two quantities, what we will get? So I'm calculating dou L by dou O into dou O by dou A4, right? So this will be, so we have a matrix here of size 1 cross M, and we have a matrix here of size M cross dimensional of A4, right? So what will be the size of the output now? It will be 1 into dimension of A4, right? Yes, because this is 1 cross M. Dou L by dou O is 1 cross M, and dou O by dou A4 is M cross dimensional of A4, right? So this is 1 cross M. So what will be the output in this case now? 1 cross dimension of A4. Why? Because M will get absorbed. I think we have studied it in school days itself, right? So this quantity 1 into A4, dimension of A4 is a gradient vector now. So this is also called as gradient input. And this is what is propagated to the previous layer. So this is the quantity that we send from layer 5 to layer 4. This is called gradient input, and this is what we use to calculate other quantity of interest. For example, dou L by dou W3 and dou L by dou W1. So in neural networks, we will be doing like this, right? And so the gradient coming from the next layer is essentially the gradient of the loss with respect to something, and then we use this to calculate the gradient of the loss with respect to the weights of the previous layer. So just remember that we now have this quantity, and now we are gonna use this quantity in the next case to compute other gradients. So what we now also calculate is the Jacobian of the output of layer 4 with respect to the input of layer 4. So the output of layer 4 is A4, the input of layer 4 is A3, and we compute a Jacobian. Because J is a differentiable function, so again we calculate a Jacobian, which is dimension of A4 into dimension A3. And then let me write that now. So let me write that now. A4, I'm writing it as J of A3, right? So I can say that dou A4 by dou A3 is a Jacobian, right? Right? And we simply multiply with this quantity that we created. So the Jacobian is being created. Now, so this is the row vector. This is the matrix. We multiply the row vector from the left on to the Jacobian matrix. So let me write that now. So when we back propagate it, dou L by dou O into dou O by dou A4 into dou A4 divided by dou A3, right? So what will be the dimension now? 1 into dimension of A3, right? So you can check with that. Because this was 1 into A4 and this is A4 into A3. So therefore it is 1 into dimension of A3. Hope this part is clear to you, right? This is actually simple. See, when you look at this, it looks complicated. Like if you know, it is not very tough concept. This is actually very simple concept to understand, right? So what is the size of the output of our current layer of A3? It is dimension A3. So the gradient vector has to be of exactly of same size. So note that since our activation function does not have any weights, we did not do any weight updates. So no weight update dou L by dou W3. However, this gives us quantity which we can use it, right? So to compute the derivatives of the loss with respect to the weight W3, now we should first compute the Jacobian of A3 with respect to W3, right? So what is A3? A3 is equal to K of A2 comma W3, right? So let us understand A3 is nothing but W3 and this A2, right? So what will be this dou A3 by dou W3 will be a Jacobian, right? So will be a Jacobian. So this is clear, right? So we compute the Jacobian of A3 with respect to W3. So dou A3 by dou W3. What will be the size of the Jacobian now? Just try to find out. the size of A3 into size of W3. So we have this quantity which we just calculated. Let us calculate that now. So dou L by dou O into dou O by dou A4 into dou A4 by dou A3, right? So what are we trying to find out now? Dou A3 by dou W3, right? So let me write it with respect to loss now. Dou L by dou W3 is equal to dou L by dou O into dou O by dou A4 into dou A4 by dou A3 into dou A3 by dou W3. Right, this is pretty simple, right? So we have this quantity, the grade input, which we already computed in the previous case. So this is something that's coming in, and this is of size 1 into dimension A3. Now using the big chain rule, we can again multiply this input gradient and the Jacobian. So we have this input gradient here and the Jacobian which we calculated. So we multiply the input gradient onto this matrix, and again we get a row vector. So what is the size of this? We know this is size of 1 into A3. So what is the size of this? See, you have to calculate step by step. Whenever you write this, if you calculate, this is really going to be helpful to you, right? So what will be the size of the output? It will be 1 into dimension of A3. So this is exactly the size of the update, right? That we have W3 component in our weight vector. So we compute the derivative of the loss with respect to W3. If you look at the chain rule, I mean, this part, right? So this part and this part, like it corresponds to, we are left with dou L by dou W3. And this is the quantity that we are interested in. This quantity tells us how will our loss function change if we change our weights W3. And that's what we want, right? So when we change our loss function such that it goes in the direction of negative gradient, meaning we go down the slope. So with this gradient, which is of size W3, we are able to update the weight vector. So we are then able to update the weight vector W3. So we have the quantity coming in here, which will give us to update W3. Clear. And this is demonstrating about the entire chain process. So chain rule is actually very simple. We have to start with the derivative of loss with respect to the output. Once we do this at every step, wherever there is weight, we compute the derivative of loss with respect to weight. And we also compute a gradient. This gradient is called the grad input, or the gradient coming in from the next layer. And this is always the size of the output. So here the size of this will always be the size of A4. And here it will be the size of A3. And this is how it goes on. That gradients are flowing into the weights, but at the same time, they are also flowing in the previous layer. Then the previous layer is then able to make use of the gradient coming from the next layer, and the Jacobian matrix that computes in the current layer, then create the gradients for the weight of the layer. So that's all. This is all there is. And like as long as you know the basics, it is really easy. A few things we should know: how back propagation work and forward propagation work for common operations like sum and copy work. So F prop and B prop, or forward prop or backward prop, or duals of each other. In the sense, whenever there is some operation, you will see a lot of networks where there are, say, two branches. And then finally, we add the feature maps in a point-wise fashion. So whenever there is a point-wise fashion of addition in back propagation, we simply divide the gradient in two directions. We send half of the gradient in one of the branches and half in the other. Similarly, when there is a copy operation, so once we branch, once we go in one direction and the other direction from here and here, we simply add them up here and then do the back propagation in the backward direction. So both are always dual of each other, and that's all about the chain rule and back propagation. So now we will be able to build on this, forward and backward propagation of individual modules such as linear layer, convolutional layer, max prop layer, max pool layer, and we will see that how it all falls in place, right? Yeah, thank you.